Hey, welcome back. Glad to have you. Happy Tuesday night here. Um, so this video is just going to be a projections video. Uh, Now I know projections don't really mean stuff to a lot of people because, I mean, you win lost games just by how many points they score. But because you could be up, you could be projected to win by 30 and still lose by 5 points or so. Um, but for us, this kind of helps in uh, starting out our power rankings. Uh, my power rankings that I do, I use a formula, and this formula kind of determines that. If I were to plug that formula in for week one, we haven't started any games yet, so everyone would be at zero. So we'd have a 12-way tie. But this is just helping determine, okay, where everyone is at on the power rankings. So how one of these videos work is um, I take the results from the draft order that the draft that we did. If you want to see the draft, you can go back to our last video that we did. Um, but I take those results, I put them into our football site, and it spits back to me a little table. This table has the teams on the left-hand side, and across the top of it is the weeks in the season. So for 1 to 17. Um, with the last three, of course, being the playoffs. And then in that middle is all the scores for that week for each team. Um, so what I do for there is I take the schedule and I go week by week, um, putting out the points, tallying up the wins and losses, and by the end, setting up the playoff scenarios. And um, once that is done, then that's how I determine the power rankings. It's much easier to see it. It's better if I show you than trying to explain it. So let's get started here. So this is the beginning portion of it. I should say, um, excuse me here. This is the teams that are. This is as of early this morning because I was working on it, or early in the afternoon while I was working on it. Some guys have changed their names already, but just going off what I saw as last. So in this case, um, the teams that we have are Unfinished Business, Ricky Bobby, Game Over for You, Birds Abides, Gritty Fly for a Bike Guy, Hawk Pockets, Obi-Wan Mahomey, Rugged It Out, Witch Nasty, it's Alan the Hips, Dr. Umstick, and Olave When You Call Me Big Papa. So those are the teams to start. The things to the left of the teams are the abbreviations. So you'll see what I mean in the next section here. But our guys, when it comes to team names, side note, our guys, when it comes to team names, we like to get creative. And we instituted a theme or survey last year where they filled out a survey. I received the results, and one of those questions, it's like, who's your favorite team name of the season? And they would show me. Um, so Tua Infinity and Beyond, I believe, was one of the teams that won it last year for that. So everybody's been doing their thing. I mean, there's some names that are iconic and they've been here for since the beginning, like Game Over for You, and Which Nasty others as well. So, but I love when even Hawk Pockets I thought was clever. I thought was clever as well. But either way, there's these guys that I'm with in this group are super creative, man. Their creativity is really good. Some of them like to do puns. Some of them like to do players. It's awesome. This is one of the reasons I love uh, being commissioner for this league. But anyway, let's get started here. So as I said before, um, I go through the schedule and I write down all the scores for each team, like each team, each player, each matchup that we have. Now, the way we run it for Sleeper, it automatically generates a schedule. That's what we're doing right. That's what we've like doing right now. Now, there's an option for manual scheduling, but we um, if I got more time down the road, then maybe we will do this again, because we used to do stuff like this and it was pretty fun. Um, but either way, so I'll just read week one, just how it goes. Um, so in this case, uh, OBP, I'll just say the initials here. OBP or DUM beats OBP 113.81 to 111.95. GAM wins 122.98 to over to 119.44 over UBU. That just sounds like a handful. I'll just say the names. Ricky Bobby wins 119.44 to 115.91 over Allen in the hips. Obi-Wan Mahomey wins 122.96 or to 119.34 for working it out. Gritty Fly for a Vike guy wins 120 to 109.66 over Birds and Bites. And Hawk Pockets wins 117.27 to 116.91 in a very close matchup with Witch Nasty. So I go and do this for all 7 weeks, or all actually 14 weeks here. I'm not going to read every single one of them to you, but if you want to pause the video, take a look at the scores of how some of our scoring is. Now, I will say this though, not all the features for Sleeper are in this little site or whatever, so scores are still kind of a little low. But they're close though. They are close, about to where some of the scores that we usually get. Um, but what I like to do when doing these, what I get out of this is I look when I'm doing this, and I look to see if there are any storylines that jump out at you. So right now, out of the first 7 weeks, there is one major storyline that jumps out to me in this, and that is, if you look at the scores, Hawk Pockets after the first 7 weeks is undefeated. He is 7-0 at this point. He has scored just enough points to get the win. It's not about who scores. I mean, yeah, you just win the game if you score the most points, obviously, but you don't have to score a lot in order to win games. Sometimes, like the defense, like sometimes your opponent just scores less. But I've had that happen before in previous years. Like I remember, I can't remember the team name because it was our first woman in this league, and she's no longer in it. But when she was in it, she had the best record at 9-5, but had like the worst score. I think had like 1,200 points when it came to scoring, which was like 300 fewer than everybody else. And I'm like, how? I'm like, this is awesome, but I'm like, how? How does that even happen? It's like it was sounded too good to be true. It's like it was hard to believe. But I noticed that a few other guys here started off like 3-0 or 4-0, but then ended up losing a couple games in a row. One of them started off 3-0, lost the next 4 games, and then won the next 2. Like and then flirted with 500 basically the rest of the way. One of them started off like low and then started to pick up a little win streak. It's like okay, now it's starting to kick in. Now they're doing this, but that was at the first part of the season here. Okay, the second part back here, weeks 8 through 14. Again, week 8, Hawk Pockets won again by 8 points. There's a couple good scores here. I mean, everything, like a couple of guys within 1 or 2 points of each other here, which was like, okay, this is like the closer week. And then we're starting to get into buys and things like that. And then out of the blue, I was wondering how long this would take, but it took 9 weeks before finally Hawk Pockets lost. And he lost to the guy who dethroned him was Ricky Bobby here, 117.39 to 97.79. This week featured some blowouts here. There were some blowouts, and sometimes that's good. A lot of times, like if you balance out like the close games and the blowout games, it's actually not that bad. It's really good. And then one thing I noticed in this portion, that of course a lot of bye weeks and Sometimes they substitute the players in there, so the scores aren't the highest. But week 12 jumped out at me where Ricky Bobby won against Allen and the Hips, 83.28 to 82.88 by a point 4 points. And I'm like, are you kidding? I'm like, how? And then um, this one. Okay, yeah. So like a lot of these games were within like 3 points of each other, with the exception of the last game, which Nasty beats Hot Pockets 124.33 to 102.52. Um, but so I finished all this. I went through the schedule, tallied up the wins and losses, as well as added up all the points for each week. It took a really long time. Usually it would take longer, but like I said, I found the site, I plugged it in where I didn't have to go pick by pick, putting the players in to order to get this happen. It actually had it for me, and I'm like, hey, this is a new feature. I like this. Let's throw this in here. So it was kind of nice, to take a little break. But I got the results here. So as I go to this page here, uh, so in this, I'll just read from the divisions here. After totaling up all the points here and all the divisions, this is how it finishes. So in the first division, Unfinished Business finishes a record of 9-5, followed by Ricky Bobby at 8-6, and Game Over for You at 7-7. The next division, Hawk Pockets takes that division with 10-4. Or actually, let me go back, because Unfinished Business goes 9-5 with 1,610 points. 5-7. Then Ricky Bobby goes with 1,600, little past 1,600 points, and Game Over for You is close to 1,600. This one, Hawk Pockets, goes 10-4 with a little past 1,600 points. Gritty Fly for a Fight Guy is about 1,581 and at 7-7. And Birds of Eyes goes 5-9 with 1,562 points, basically. Next division is Which Nasty takes at 9-5 with 1,650 points. Obi-Wan Mahomie, 7-7 with 1,624 points. And then Rugged and Out 3-11 with 1,569 points. Then the final division, Olave When You Call Me Big Papa, it goes 7-7 with 1,581 points. Dr. Umstick and It's Alan the Hips go 6-8, and both of them have similar points, 1,591 and 1,564. But either way, so that's the divisions. I tally up the things, put the numbers in. Now, to determine the seeding for the playoffs, this is how it goes. So in our playoffs, we have 6 teams. 6 teams that make the championship bracket and 6 teams for the consolation bracket. How we do it is the tiebreaker is points scored, or bench points in the playoffs. Bench points. That's how you move on here. To get into the playoffs, of course, if you have the same record, then it's points scored. That's why the points scored off to the side. So then when it comes to matchups, it's reseeded. So like if the 6th seed wins and the 5th seed wins, or 6th seed wins and the 3rd seed wins, or no, 6th seed wins and the 4th seed wins. Actually, yeah, breathe, Tim, breathe. So if the 3rd seed wins and the 5th seed wins, the 5th seed would go play the 1st seed, and the 3rd seed would go play the 2nd seed. So it goes by reseeding. And in this case, I'll just read out the seeds. As you can see on the bottom, the X is the division win, so you win the division. Y is wild card, Z is first round bye, and tiebreaker's points scored. So of course, not surprised. Hawk Pockets gets the number 1 seed at 10-4, followed by Which Nasty at 9-5. Because Which Nasty, and I know Unfinished Business also finished 9-5, but based off points scored with 1,651 the 16-10 basically. That's why the seeding is that. So 2 and 3 right there respectfully, and then Olave, when you call me Big Papa, goes 7 and 7. So he finishes as the 4th seed. So as you probably guessed by now, with getting into the playoffs, division winners automatically get in, and then 2 wild card spots based off best record. So in this case, the 5th seed in this would have been Ricky Bobby at 8 and 6, and then followed by Obi-Wan Mahomey at 7 and 7. Now there's 2 other people that finished at 7 and 7, where Gritty Fly for a Vike Guy and Game Over for You. However, because of points scored, with Obi-Wan Mahomey at 1624, he was able to get in as the 6th seed. And then the 7th seed in this situation, like setting up the consolation bracket, the 7th seed is Game Over for You based on points scored, followed by Gritty Fly for a Vike Guy. 9th seed was All in the Hips. 10th seed was Dr. Umstick. 11th seed was Bird Abides, and 12th seed was SEQ, basically, rugging it out. So in this case, what we're going to do next, I actually found a little site that kind of helps with that here. As you can see, this is the championship bracket here. It shows the Game Over for You, or it shows the seedings where everybody is. Now, I will say this. I went and did this on the piece of paper, so we'll show you the results, but I'm going to click on every single one. Now, this doesn't have the option for reseed, but if I would have switched this with the reseeding portions, it will not affect the outcome of the playoffs. So the people who are supposed to be in the final 2, basically fighting for the top spot here, are going to be basically the top 2. So like I'll show you here in a minute what I said. If it's hard to explain, just trust me. Let me show you. Okay, I do better with showing you than explaining. It's kind of hard for me, but I'm trying my best. Okay, so starting off with the 7th seed here, or starting off with the 10-11 seed, with Birds Abides being the 11th against Dr. Umstick at the 10th. Oop, yep, got to start the tournament. You're right. Yes, starting tournament. All right, so we're starting the tournament. We're going to go right to here. Now, I'm going to put the scores in here as I do. Now, Birds Abides got 112.69 points. They're going to let me do it? Yes, they will. Haha. Success. And now, for Dr. Umstick, he gets 126.19. So he would advance in the next round. Next, he would advance in the next round. Next is All in the Hips versus Rugging It Out. In this case, All in the Hips got 129.40. All of his guys went off in this case. And now for Rugging It Out, can he pull out the upset as the 12th seed? You know, he's 12th seed, had a 3 and 11, but it's all right. Like, you know, it's like sometimes the playoffs to move up in the power rankings, you know, that's still pretty good. Who knows? In this case, but in this case, it's not the case. He gets 117.78, and we go in to that. Now, side notes, since I didn't do a tournament, I just did the top 6. But side note, we did go for the 11th to 12th spot in our for the power rankings. So in this case, it'd be Birds Abides versus Rugging It Out for our last 2 spots in the power rankings. And Birds Abides gets 110.40, and Rugging It Out gets 112.27, which means he moves up. He finishes 11th in the power rankings, and Birds Abides finishes 12th. Next, we go to this section here. Now, in this case, excuse me here. See, in this case, the 10 seed, yeah, 10 seed, 9 seed. So yeah, this is still fine the way it is. So this doesn't affect much at all. Um, Game over for you. The 7th seed in this tourney starts off with 114.11 points. Can the 10th seed pull off the upset? He's got a 1. He's got a 1. Oops. And he has a 9.61. So he actually does, in this projections video, he actually pulls out the upset and goes on to the 7th, like the finals basically for the 7th spot in the power rankings. But who is he going to face? Well, let's find out. It's Allen in the hips. Starts off with Allen in the hips. Starts at 124 points. 2-3. That's a tough one to go around here. He had 129 last game. He's still getting 120. Can Gritty Fly for a Vike guy come in? There's a 1. Unfortunately, that's not the case. It's 112.34, which means that Allen in the hips moves on to the finals as the 9th seed. So it's a 9-10 seed matchup here. However, side note, I do have the spot for the 9th place in that tourney in the power rankings. So I did that matchup, and game over for you. Got 118.89 points, and Gritty Fly for a Vike guy got 114.17. So in this case, the 9th spot belongs to Game Over for you, and the 10th spot belongs to Gritty Fly for a Vike guy. But now here's the 7th spot. This is for Dr. Stick versus It's Allen in the hips. Let's see how this one plays out, because this should be a good battle. If it's anything like some of the scores earlier, this should be a good battle. In this case, starting off with Dr. Stick, he gets 114.60. Now, It's Allen in the hips has been on fire lately. He's dropped 120. Is that still the case? Here's a 1. Fortunately, it is not. There's also a 1. Is it still higher or lower than a 4? It is lower. 112.98 points. Still within a couple points of each other. And for the consolation bracket here, Dr. Umstick takes it. Dr. Umstick takes it at the 7th spot in our power rankings, followed by It's Allen in the hips with the 8th spot. So the bottom reads as follows, basically. Dr. Umstick at the 7th spot, Allen in the hips at the 8, Game Over for you at 9, Pretty Gritty Fly for a Vike guy at 10, Rugging It Out at 11, and Birds Abides at 12. But now, a moment you guys have probably been waiting for, if you're down for that. Here we go. Is going to the championship bracket side. So here's the championship bracket side. Got the seedings here. Hot Pockets, Which Nasty, the usual stuff. I already said it. But let's get started. Let's get going here. Oh, and again, come on, Tim. Gotta start that turn. So here we go. Ricky Bobby versus Alave When You Call Me Big Papa. Record-wise, Ricky Bobby should have this. Well, let's see what the projections say in this. So, for Ricky Bobby, he has 118.72. Can Alave come in and dethrone him? I do see a 1. I see another 1. But it's a 5.67, which, in this case, this is technically an upset. I mean, it's technically an upset when it comes to seedings, but it's not really based on record. But he moves on. The 5 seed moves on to the next round here. Now, unfinished business. He has been in the tournaments before. Unfinished business has also gone to the semis before. And yes, he's got some unfinished business for sure. In this case, he drops a good score of 119.90. That's still pretty solid, almost 120 points. Can Obi-Wan Mahomey say something about that? He's got a 1, and he has a 2. It's 127.53, a 8-point win here. Now, okay, I here we go here. And now usually, like I said, we'll reseed it. Like it usually is reseeded at this point, but when doing the reseeded, like when I wrote down the reseeded way, and like this doesn't have reseeded, it's not going to change the outcome of the finals, who's in the top seed. So we dodged the bullet basically. So in this case, though, we'll start with Ricky Bobby here. Ricky Bobby is going on that Cinderella run here as the 5th seed. Comes in with 118.44 points. Actually, 49 points. Excuse me, can't read my own writing. It's pretty good. Hot Pockets has been dominating, but then finished 2-4 over the last 6 games. Had time to think about it. Well, let's see. Oh yeah, he had plenty of time. 125.84 points, moves himself right into the finals. All right, and then comes in a 6th seed here, another Cinderella squad here, starting off with 114.92 here. 92 here. Can Witch Nasty beat that? Of course he can. He has his best game of the whole thing with 131.04 points. So according to the projections right now, Hawk Pockets and Witch Nasty, I mean, in a way, I'm skipped a little far ahead. I forgot to mention. So we did a 5th and 6th place for that standing in the power rankings between Olave, When You Call Me Big Papa, and Unfinished Business. And it turns out Olave picked up the win, actually, 127.83 to 119.07. So he takes the 5th place part in the rankings in that one. And then for the third spot in the rankings, featured Obi-Wan Mahomey, the 6th seed, with 118.89 points, and Ricky Bobby with 119.02. So he would get that 3rd spot as the 5th seed here. He would get that 3rd spot. So now we come to the last spot of the evening, last 2 spots of the evening. It actually kind of makes sense when you think about it. For our league, when you think about it, I mean, Hawk Pockets has the best winning percentage in the history of this league, and Witch Nasty is a defending champion. So of course he's got to defend his title. And in this case, let's go see. So Witch Nasty in this place has 122.36 points. That's a pretty good score right there. Can Hawk Pockets match it? He's been dominating the whole series. Here's a 1. He's got a 2 as well. And he gets a 6.89. So 126.89 to 122.36, giving Hawk Pockets the number 1 spot in our power rankings. So let me read the power rankings as follows. Trust me, it's going to be a lot better than this. I'll show you when we do these power rankings. They're going to be based on numbers. They're going to be based on numbers only. But it kind of gives a little bit of meaning to the league, and it kind of determines the spot in the rankings. To me, it seemed fair. But let me read the final spots here. Hawk Pockets takes the number 1 spot, followed by Witch Nasty. Ricky Bobby is the 3rd spot. Obi-Wan Mahomey at the 4th spot. Olave, When You Call Me Big Papa, the 5th spot. Unfinished Business at the 6th. Dr. Elmstick at the 7th. Allen and the Hips in the 8th. Game Over For You at 9th. Gritty Fly for a Vike Guy, the 10th. Rugging It Out, 11th. And Birds Abides at 12th. That completes the power rankings. That's for the power rankings video. It's kind of a different thing we try, you know. I've never actually put this to video before. I'd always write down and tell the guys about it, basically. But we always enjoy this. It creates a good laugh in the group. You know, it's pretty funny. And even though the projections are always off. We know this. We all know this. We don't have to beat around the bush or anything like that. But these are just for fun, just to see like if what would happen, who knows? Somebody in our league could feel down and see these power rankings and projections and be like, oh, hey, hey, according to my team, it's actually not so bad. And it's like, let me rechange my mind or things like that. Who knows? But that's gonna do it. Next video you'll probably see will be sometime next week when we do the recap. Uh, this is gonna be excited. Football starts on Thursday. It's gonna be awesome. Uh, Hopefully you guys can be able to watch the game. So, uh, according to the clock, gotta go. Um, if you can, you could like the video, subscribe if you want to as well. I mean, you're right down there, you might as well. Um, and we look forward to seeing you again. Till then, talk to you guys later.